We're talking about social media for young people, but what about for adults? How should we be handling these tools? And is there a book of etiquette online? Well, joining us now is Crystal Washington, who is a marketing and social media consultant, and she hosts seminars to guide professionals through this electronic jungle we're all living in. Yes. And Crystal, we're glad to have you here because a lot of us need your help, believe me.
Thank you.
Let's start off by talking about just kind of the role of social media now, not only in our personal lives, but our professional lives. Is there any kind of social faux pas out there, any mistakes that people make on a regular basis?
Well, I think there's two major ones. One of the items that people tend to do is they tend to treat social media like a diary, even professionals.
Right.
And so what happens is they go on there, they have a rough day at work, and then they start complaining about their boss and the horrible things that are going on in the office, and they forget they're friends with their boss on Facebook. So that's one item. The other item I would have to say is you have people that maybe they have side businesses or business owners. They start selling. They treat it like it's a billboard.
And the first point you mentioned, we certainly seen people getting fired because they decide to chat up their bosses on Facebook. Do we just sort of forget sometimes that there is a line between personal and professional communication online?
Well, I think we do because we're not around other people. It's not, we're sitting in the room with other people. We don't stop and think, oh, they can hear me. People feel like, oh, it's private, I'm typing here by myself, but they don't realize they're posting it to the world. Even if it's a private profile, there's still many ways that people can access what's on your walls.
And it is possible for that to be sent on to somebody else, and before you know it, it's everywhere.
It happens all the time. People are fired for that exact reason.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about then some of the positives of being online and whether or not being very good at social media can also be a help, a real boon to your career.
Well, it definitely can, and here's how. Especially when you're looking for a job, LinkedIn is a wonderful, wonderful resource for you to go to. Believe it or not, Twitter's a great place to find employment as well.
Really?
A lot of people are not aware of all the employment opportunities on Twitter.
So you're not just tweeting about what you had for breakfast or where you went shopping?
Not if you want to be effective.
Yeah.
That's not going to get you anything work-wise. So there's all these resources here that you can use, but also it's a great way to show your expertise. You're trying to find a new job, you start a blog about industry trends, you have all these people following you in your industry, it makes you more sellable.
Oh, that's an excellent point. Well, what about if you are doing something at work, perhaps on Facebook, or you have a blog? How can that actually help you with the job you've got?
Well, it can actually, right now I think we live in a time where no one has job security. So everybody's trying to think, how can I be more competitive? So when you start to think, okay, you know what, I see that there's avenues where we can promote what we do at work. I can talk about what a wonderful place this is to work. You see Zappos doing that with some of their employees. So when you get on board and you're bragging about your workplace and you're showing kind of the inside look and people see this as a happy company, it makes you a more valuable asset. It makes you a greater member of the team.
Now, maybe we should step back just one or two steps and kind of differentiate between Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. Give us kind of a little primer, if you will, on some of these online sites, all these social media sites.
Got it. Well, LinkedIn is the only 100% professional network.
Okay.
So that's where you go. It's almost like an online resume, but souped up a notch. So no play on there. Facebook is where you go to build relationships. Now, you can build relationships with people that you work with, but it's all about relationships. Twitter is where you go to show your expertise. That's where you show your wittiness. That's where it's about what you're posting in terms of information and content.
And that's the one that's limited to 140 characters, and so you've got to get it out quickly.
You have to be brief. So long-winded people like myself, it takes some effort. Yeah,
to really work on that. And when we think of, for instance, sites like Twitter or Facebook, you think of the celebrities, and they're out there talking about, as I say, where they went for dinner or went shopping. But you really see Twitter as possibly something that you can use professionally.
Oh, people do it all the time. You look at bloggers. How do they push that blog out to people that don't know about them? They go on Twitter. They use certain words, HR trends, so that when people are looking for it, they find their tweet, they go to their blog. So, I mean, there's so many things. Like I said, Twitter is probably one of the most powerful social networks, but it's the most misunderstood because we see all the people that are confused posting about what they ate for breakfast versus connecting with the people that have real insight.
Now, for adults and for a lot of us who didn't grow up learning computers like we watch our kids and grandkids do, how do we get really good at it? I mean, instead of being nervous all the time about getting online, how do you really learn to maneuver all of this?
Well, it's really taking one step at a time. A lot of the classes that I do where I'm training with a baby boomer. So she kind of translates, if you will, for me. But what I tell them is, the great thing is if you're older, I honestly think baby boomers have a better chance of being successful on social media than Gen Y. The reason why is as a baby boomer, you understand relationships, you understand networking. The same rules and business etiquette apply on social media. The problem is when you look at Gen Y, they understand the technology. They don't know the etiquette. They don't understand building relationships.
So they don't know the importance of saying thank you sometimes or doing things like that. Crystal, great information. We appreciate this. And is there such a thing as too much time spent on a social network?
Yes, it can definitely become a black hole. So time yourself, get your egg timer right there on your desk, and know how much time you're willing to dedicate a day.
All right. Thank you so much.
welcome.
We're going to have you back to explain even more stuff for us. We appreciate it. Well, Career and Recovery Resources recently celebrated their 15th annual Barrier Breaker Awards luncheon. They showcased several of their star clients who were there. Honorees this year, Ellie and Jack Sweeney. Dr. Vern Swisher is the CEO, and Dr. William Harmon is the chairman of the board. Two very handsome gentlemen there. When we come back, we're going to tell you how the Jazz Workshop grooms the jazz greats of tomorrow.